On my conversation today with Stephen Rowe from Different Matters. Stephen is an American political AI expert, but before we get into AI, we talk about whether or not AI pornography is going to take off. We talk about whether Stephen is really a libertarian, and I tell him he is not a libertarian because he is not in favour of selling drugs to children, because that is the litmus test. It was a fun conversation. I enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. I'm here today on my podcast, Different Matters, in the excellent offices of MediaWorks on a Sunday, and thank you so much for Lachlan for coming in. I'm here with Stephen Rowe.
It's an honor.
And well, you say that now. Let's wait till we get to the end. And probably Stephen has been completely unbriefed about who the hell I am.
That's true.
Why we are here.
Here we go.
You didn't even Google me, did you?
I didn't know your name until they told me we were talking.
I love the Taxpayers Union. So here, go talk to this guy.
Seriously.
Okay. All right. Let's. Your story and background is really interesting. You are an expert. Well, I'm going to call you an expert in AI. I think that is fair.
That's accurate. And
particularly with the use of AI in a political structure.
Yeah.
But let's just start back. You've got an interesting, you write somewhere that you have a black Panamanian father and a Rosebud Sioux mother, and you were educated in Montana. You went to the Harvard of the West.
That's right.
Montana State University, which sounds like an awesome place to grow up. We were arguing before whether you're a conservative or a libertarian. But given that background, growing up in the Midwest, did you grow up in Montana?
Yeah, I grew up in Montana, Billings, Montana. It was amazing. And how did this black guy get there, right? I always joke with people that there were 7 black guys there before I left, and now there's 6. So yeah, kind of a crazy happenstance, a superpower in so many ways, because I'm new. I'm the flavor of the day. So it's let's talk to this guy. What does he think about things?
How more interesting to me is how did you stumble onto conservative politics?
Yeah,
so
totally.
What dragged you into what was your path towards conservatism?
Yeah, so it first started with faith, right? So I grew up going through a private Catholic school system. My parents, not rich people, but sacrificed a lot to put me through it. They start feeding you a lot of Catholicism, right? And then you start looking at the world and how it applies and all of that good stuff. And that pushed me on a more conservative path originally.
You're still a Catholic?
Yeah, still practicing Catholic.
The one true Catholic and Apostolic faith? How many years has it been since your last confession?
Years. No, it was just this year. So I'm pretty good. I'm a lector at my church and everything. So I read the first and second reading, and I'm an active participant. So
fantastic.
Yeah. I love Jesus. He's pretty sweet.
Okay.
But yeah, so switched on to politics that way. And I started reading, to be quite frank. And so at first it was, Thomas Aquinas and things of that nature. But then I started reading Thomas Sowell. And then I started reading Milton Friedman and Frederick Hayek and Bastiat, I Pencil from Lawrence Reed.
Oh my God.
And so many other good things.
So cool.
Yes. And that started pushing me more on a freedom path. And again, we were going back and forth, conservative, libertarian. I say conservatarian. And I know, does that feel like a cheap cop-out to some people?
Yes, it's a cop-out.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like it accurately pins me where I am. Because again, socially, maybe a little more conservative, but again, 9 out of 10 libertarian positions I hold. I think the war on drugs is probably the only one I disagree with. Other than that, I feel like it's pretty much aligned.
No, you see, that makes you like an Anglican, right? The beautiful thing about being an Anglican is you don't need to believe in God to be an Anglican. to be a libertarian, you need to subscribe to the non-aggression principle.
I do.
You do not, because you believe that if I'm going out there and selling drugs, you have the right to put me in prison to stop me selling drugs. That is a violation of the non-aggression principle, isn't it?
Well, when we think about the non-aggression principle, there, I think, is a cultural effect. And I think where the disagreement is I think laws are inherently moral. Whatever laws we have on society is what government deems as morality. And so when we say all drugs are legal, then at that point, I really think fundamentally you're saying, please go do meth, go do heroin. It's great for our society.
That is on that basis, you would support the laws that prevented Catholics from running for Parliament in the United Kingdom.
I'm not familiar with those laws.
But But you are familiar that we have a vast history in humanity of really pernicious and awful laws.
Yeah, big time. And I think a government should be so small I can barely see it. And that's very much why I find myself more in the liberty camp.
Okay, all right. I could spend an hour just on this, but which is probably more interesting than AI. I think you're a conservative, and that's
okay.
Great. And you should embrace the conservatism. There was, I can't remember who said it. The idea was you can be a liberal-minded fascist, and the idea is that if you believe that homosexuality, that people should be free to practice homosexuality regardless of your personal views towards it, a conservative would say yes, people should be free to practice their however they want to, their religion, their sexuality, but you believe that the state gives people that right to do it, whereas the libertarian would say the state has no right regulating people's sexual behavior.
That's exactly where I'm at too, because I don't think government should be in the business of marriage in the first place. So whether it's heterosexuality or homosexuality,
that's a libertarian
we did go 2 steps forward, and I said we should take a step back. Like, government should not be involved in marriage. That's a Christian institution at the first place. That's not a government institution. And unfortunately in America, we've seen it be co-opted, and now we have to take 7 steps forward to account for X, Y, and Z, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, the position should be fundamentally that government is not in the business of marriage at all.
So you have libertarian instincts.
I think so.
But you haven't. You've just got to go. You've just got to embrace.
Got to embrace the drugs. I got to get that meth in me. Yeah.
No. You don't need to get the meth in you. You just need to be comfortable with other people getting meth in you. Okay. All right.
I like this.
So your background, the reason why you are the Taxpayers Union, an excellent organisation, has brought you to New Zealand, is your background using AI in politics. So give us a quick rundown on the Leadership Institute.
Yeah, so I work at the Cato Institute in Washington, D.C., but I had worked for the Leadership Institute for over a decade, and I was doing digital and online training.
Did you start this?
No, not at all. Okay. It was founded in 1979 by a man named Morton Blackwell, who's still at the helm today, one of my icons, somebody I look up to for sure. And ultimately, after doing that for a decade, it's like watching a movie 9 times, that even if you love the movie, you kind of want to watch a different movie. And so there's also that expression that those that can't do, teach. I hated
that. Would be a terrible philosophy to take into a marriage, but just go on.
Yeah, well, fair. I'm in it for the in it to win it on that one. But ultimately, I wanted to just get back on the front lines or like build stuff again versus like purely training. And so I switched over to the Cato Institute to align with my libertarian instincts, as you would have it say. And from that, people still said, wait, you're an awesome trainer, an awesome speaker. Why don't you still do AI and digital strategy on the side? And I do.
So the Leadership Institute, though, is specifically training conservative, right-leaning people on how to use. There's not just what else do they train people to do? It can't just be.
So we train on political technology. So we inherently believe that political technology is philosophically neutral. So whether you're libertarian, progressive, communist, or conservative, if you want to write a tweet or create a video, there's still key tactics here, like keyframing or hooking people in the first 5 seconds and things of that nature. And that's what we teach, the political technology behind the politics. And so I focused on the digital side of things. So AI was one of the biggest things, but also online fundraising, social media, email marketing, and so many other things. Like, how do you actually get this off the ground? How do you do it well? And that's what I taught quite often and very successfully all over the world.
Then you were involved in Turning Point USA.
That was my first job.
Like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, so my first job was working for Charlie Kirk, and in college at Montana State, I had the opportunity to meet him. And basically my mentor and boss at the time, Greg Gianforte, who's the governor of Montana, but wasn't at the time, invited me to dinner, said you have to meet this kid. He's going to change the world. I go to dinner. I meet Charlie Kirk, and he's awesome. Like, probably the greatest orator of my lifetime. I've never seen someone speak so well and be so passionate and principled, quite frankly. But ultimately, he wanted to do activism weeks. And I was a part of the college.
Sorry, do what?
Activism weeks. So basically, think like on a college campus, like actually doing something. For example, what we had is like a national debt cake and gave away everybody each a slice of the national debt. It had the number written on it. And it's like, here you go. This is how much debt we're in. Congratulations. Let you eat cake. And then also free speech balls. So think of a giant 10-foot inflatable beach ball where you could write anything you wanted on it. I hate my professor. cancer, Turning Point USA sucks. You could say anything. It's free speech. That's one of the beautiful things about it, and really just show people that this is possible. We had Second Amendment days where we went out to the range and got people to shoot guns and learn all that good stuff. Pretty American for this audience, I'm sure. But all this to say, activism weeks. And so we were doing things every single week. And I was graduating that semester, and Turning Point is really starting to take off at this point. And Charlie says, here's a job offer. And I did. I packed all my bags and moved off to Chicago, where I noticed two things about the state of Illinois. Number one, governors always serve 2 terms, 1 term in office and 1 term in jail. Almost every single one. It's actually a crazy trend. And
Who was that guy,
Rob Blagojevich just got out. And I think J.B. Pritzker is on the way in with the way he's going. But the last thing about Chicago,
I love that he went on some TV program right before. What did he do? 11 years.
Yeah.
He tried to sell a Senate seat. He was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely a meme machine in terms of just never-ending points of content. But yeah, so Chicago, you go there for the food and stay because you got shot. So thankfully that was not the case, and I was able to kind of keep going. But I was working for Turning Point for about a full year. Absolutely loved it. I was the editor-in-chief of their online publication. It was like the beginning of their influencer program. I had 7 full-time staff, millions of views online. It was great success. But I wanted an army of people who knew digital. And at heart, I was that trainer and that teacher that I became at Leadership Institute. Yeah. And so I wasn't looking for a job, but that popped up, and I got Charlie's blessing, and I went to work for Leadership Institute. But I spent a full year working for Charlie, and he changed my life.
He changed a lot of lives. It's just such a crushing tragedy. And now you're at the Cato Institute. So maybe give people a quick flavor of what Cato is.
Yeah, Cato is the MVP of the libertarian movement in America, I would argue. And there's 4 key principles.
Cato the Older or Cato the Younger?
Cato the Younger, yes. And Cato the Older was pretty anti-Hannibal, if I remember correctly. Cato the Younger was that passionate statesman who was fighting for freedom.
He was... Well, no, that can't be right. Cato the Younger died. He was fighting Caesar, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right.
He was the one who ripped out his intestines.
It's a different Cato than at Hannibal's era. During Hannibal's era,
there
were a couple Catos. Yeah, but Cato the Younger is who we're named after. That's our namesake. And even before that, it's actually based on Cato's letters, which was in Europe at the time, and everyone thought they were cheeky using the Roman statesmen of the past as they were creating literature. So it was named specifically after Cato's letters, but that's mocked after Cato the Younger. So that's kind of the lineage there. But our 4 principles are individual liberty, free markets, limited government, and peace. That's what we believe. And basically, like a North Star, we've been doing our best to advance libertarian ideas in America as much as we possibly can.
Except for the drugs.
They like the drugs. That's a me thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So Cato, because there are so many. You've got the Heritage Foundation.
That's conservative.
Cato. Yeah, okay. You've got Reason.
Reason's libertarian. Yeah, we're closer to Reason, but we're more principled, I would argue. I love Reason, for the record. Reason's amazing. But I would say the Cato Institute's more principled in its libertarianism.
Do you listen to the Reason Roundtable?
I love the Reason Roundtable.
So cool.
Yeah, I love Reason, too. I've got so many friends that work there. I was at their Halloween party recently. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Nick Gillespie is just... Yeah.
He's a character. Dave Smith, too.
Who?
Dave Smith.
Is he the
He's a comedian. Yeah, he's the comedian.
Yeah, he's fallen on the wrong side of the Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro divide.
I agree.
I really enjoyed him. And going off track for a little bit.
Please.
There are, Tom Woods.
Yep.
Or know of him.
Of him. I don't know him.
Of him. Yeah. Bob Murphy.
Yep.
Dave Smith.
Dave Smith, yep.
No, I've listened to a lot of, who's that guy, Scott Horton? So I've listened to a lot of these guys, Bob Murphy particularly. I used to listen to Country Krugman. And then this whole, pardon me, then the whole Gaza thing blows up. And I'm pretty strongly in the camp of Israel and on that conflict. But I understand why people are not. And so you listen to Tom Woods and more Woods and Dave Smith, who are coming down, I think, quite hard on Israel. But given the libertarian instincts and the anti-government, I understand where they're coming from. But then when Tucker Carlson has Nick Fuentes on, who
disgusting,
is just an absolutely loathsome, and then I think you could interview Nick Fuentes, but then you say, well, Nick, you've said these things.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say the Jews control the world and all the black people should be in jail? What do you mean? What do you, at a minimum, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Because I think I know what you mean. I think you are an anti-Semitic racist POS, but Tucker never did any of that.
No, and Nick has even on the show said Stalin enthusiast, but he's gone so far as to say Hitler enthusiast in the past as well. Just disgusting stuff.
So, okay, so I think that taints Tucker Carlson. I was also getting a bit bored of his, I think, pro-Putin attitude.
Sure.
But then why do people like Tom Woods come out so hard defending Tucker Carlson? I don't understand it. I'm starting to question. I mean, I'm still a libertarian, but what the hell is wrong with these people? What am I missing?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think fundamentally, again, you're seeing a civil war in the conservative party, not party, but conservative movement, who are mostly Republicans. And I think that's where it starts to really get the rub. I feel like Tucker Carlson has become increasingly more of the nationalist type perspective, very populist in his inherent nature. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really old friendships at the end of the day. I mean, Tucker Carlson used to have his popular show on foxnews.com, used to really be in these circles. He worked at the Cato Institute way back in the day and didn't fit, obviously, so left very quickly. But yeah, I think it's really just old relationships are the reason there's people supporting at this time, like Tom Woods. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it's too much. It's too far. I think when I worked at Leadership Institute, for example, Nick Fuentes actually was trying to become a field rep. If you watch the interview, he talks about his time at Leadership Institute. I was there teaching at that time. I was in front of them, talking to them, and I didn't know who Nick Fuentes was. He was a kid in the crowd. But I was proud to see that Leadership Institute kicked him out right away. Yeah. And one of my friends, Emily, was watching what he was saying in our dorm rooms in the basement. And he was saying everything that he says on his radio show, you know, hate the Jews, hate the blacks, you know, all these types of things, especially very derogatory stuff against women. It's probably because he's never been laid before, quite frankly. If you really want to know the heart of Nick Fuentes, it's the heart of someone who has never had sex or had a good, successful relationship with a woman. I don't think he can have any relationship with one.
So you are saying that we could solve the Nick Fuentes problem for $300?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that might be the best path forward. I think he'll start to have a little more empathy. And to be honest, once he has a wife, watch, his views are going to change radically. But
why? But this obscures a bigger problem, Stephen. Why is he, look, it's hard to tell from this distance how popular he is, but certainly he's creating a lot of media attention.
Yeah.
Why, is this just trolling? Is this just why the Beatles and the Rolling Stones were popular because it pissed off the parents? There was, to put it into New Zealand context, there was a Maori gang here, and they used to wander around with the swastikas and go Sieg Heil and so forth. And the reason why they did it was because they knew it pissed off the old Europeans who were saying these people, the Nazis, are disgusting. They were doing it to get a negative reaction. Is that what Fuentes and stuff is doing, or are we missing something more significant? Is there a significant trend?
Yeah, I think it's at its heart trolling for sure. But if you dig deeper than that, I also see this, 16 to 21-year-old boy who, again, now, probably doesn't get a lot of attention with women, a little bit more on the incel side of things. They scroll Reddit all day and then comment their thoughts on X behind, Pepe the Frog as their profile picture. Yeah. And that tends to be what they call groypers. And that's what Nick Fuentes leads. It's like this nation of groypers. And it's these young men that really haven't had any luck in life, whether that's their career or, again, whether it's with women. And now they feel left behind and they feel like they have to be the victim. And being the victim means often your race or nationality. And that's what they're clinging to at this point. So I think that's really fundamentally what's happening. And Nick just speaks for them. But he's definitely the flavor of the day in terms of trolling in the news. I don't think there's a lot of staying power, but he's going to keep trolling. He's going to keep attacking Candace Owens and keep attacking anybody who gives him any ounce of life. And I remember when I was working at Turning Point USA, we unabashedly condemned Nick Fuentes. Charlie Kirk would not allow Nick Fuentes into any events, would kick out groypers if we found them, and tried to remove them from the conservative movement at the time. and they've been very successful. They're like, that cockroach that just won't go away. That's why I fundamentally describe groypers. They're just these cockroaches that won't go away. And even more, again, just wait, give it 5 years, give it 10 years, watch them grow up and start to feel really shameful about what they're doing. And it's just kids that are trolling. Unfortunately, though, the internet does not forgive and it doesn't forget. And so this is going to haunt a lot of people in the future. And it's a shame to see that this is happening at the end of the day.
I would like to believe that. I was talking to a mate of mine a couple of years back. We were talking, and there were two career paths which I'd seen in the United States. One, Milo Yiannopoulos. Who he is.
Oh, I've interacted with Milo before.
Okay, so you got Milo Yiannopoulos and Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me, again, from a distance, Milo seemed to be going after the sugar hit of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So he had big, flamboyant, troll, massive trolling, just saying some pretty edgy things. I got the impression he was saying edgy things for attention.
Yes.
Then, because I think him and Shapiro both worked at Breitbart. Was that right?
Yes, yeah. That's right.
And then Shapiro left, and then Shapiro had a much more mainstream conservative, staying within the Overton window, whatever. And regardless of what you think of their respective views, Yiannopoulos flamed out.
Yes, he did.
And Shapiro has gone on to build something that seems durable, again, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with his politics. And so I wonder whether that is likely to be the case of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. They are chasing attention for its own sake. And so I would like to believe that they would flame out.
Yeah, that's my hope. The other thing, though, is there's always going to be that small cadre of people that follow them and believe in them and all that good stuff. And, I lost I remember meeting Candace Owens in the White House in 2017, and I used to think that she was pretty cool. I liked the Blexit stuff, the black exit of the Democratic Party at the time in America, and I thought there was something there, but then it just kept getting kind of crazier and crazier. And to be honest, what we call it is clickbait now at this time. And now what she's doing with like Charlie Kirk's death and stuff like that, and these conspiracies that have no basis in reality, it's just disgusting. So I'm pretty disappointed in Candace Owens at the end of the day. I thought that she was going to be a great leader of kind of freedom thinkers that are black. And clearly that's just not the case. And yeah, I mean, very difficult. So I hope they flame out, so to speak. But if you think about Tucker Carlson, man has enough money. He's invincible at this point in terms of the hate, like controlling his actions. So he's going to be who he is for the rest of his life. And I hope he just sticks to fishing and hunting. We'll like him a lot more if he does.
I think it's, if you go out there and you say something a little bit provocative, and then you get a reaction, and you keep saying that provocative thing, but after a while people say, oh, that's just, Damien, he's saying this provocative stuff, and it's no longer. And so in order to get the sugar hit of attention, I need to say something more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And then that worked for a while. And after a while, I end up saying, the Holocaust didn't happen and space lasers and whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
so I do wonder whether to some extent that's the need to get. So you have a program and it gets 20 million views and you think, great, how do I get 25 million?
That's exactly right.
And so I know, I blame the Jews, that'll get me 25 million. But then it doesn't matter whether it's true. Well, maybe I'm being unfair, but that's the impression I get both.
Well, it could be a death spiral for sure. That's what I see. Basically, if you're always just chasing views, you're right. You're going to do just a little bit more for more and more views. And if you go down from 25 to 16 million views, you start to say, what type of bomb can I throw to get back up there to 30 or 40? And that's fundamentally, I think, Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens. And again, Tucker, I think he's already made his bag. And so I think he's just being himself and maybe just more honest, which is not the honesty we wanted.
Yep. Okay. All right. We have our own issues in New Zealand. Don't worry. But the people we have that fall into that bag, we have elected into Parliament, so it's good.
Yeah, that's good. We've got some strange congressmen and congresswomen out there. Ilhan Omar being the top of my list.
Oh, she's great. She's
she's
so
crazy.
Entertaining.
I mean, she's crazy, but she should represent Somalia. I mean,
she does.
That's right. That's right. But somehow she's a representative of the U.S. Congress. I don't know. Makes no sense to me. I don't know if you caught this news, though. One silly thing. She wasn't paying her student bills. and she was trying to use her position in Congress. This is an article you can look up right now, but she's in default as it relates to her student loans, and because she hasn't been paying them. I think that's kind of crazy. I think it'd be really funny if her wages got garnished as a member of Congress, and it would happen to any other American, so might as well be her.
She is so entertaining. We have a political party in New Zealand that is defined by race, which sounds terrible when you say it externally. From a New Zealand context, Te Pāti Māori, the Māori Party, makes sense, but they've got some internal issues at the moment. But
that was the first time I ever found out about New Zealand before I got here. Was actually, I don't know her name, the 22-year-old that made all the international headlines for doing the haka, I believe. Yeah. That was the first time I ever saw New Zealand. So as an outsider, New Zealand, that's what I saw.
Well, she copped a lot of abuse for that. I'm a bit more sympathetic. Parliament there is a theatre of politics, and so to a large extent, I think the Māori Party, Te Pāti Māori, have done quite a good job of advocating for their constituency, and that's what democracy is about, right? I mean, Ilan, how do I say it?
Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar is representing her district, which is predominantly Somali, and she's representing her constituency. We have Maori seats in New Zealand. We've got MAP, and so I think Te Pāti Māori has done historically quite a good job because there is a lot of legitimate grievances to be addressed.
Sure.
But I think now they are an organisation looking for a cause. And I think that's become, because I was talking to Helen Joyce here last week, and the question was, why did the gay rights movement move to the trans movement? And Helen Joyce's theory is they were an advocacy group. They won. Gay rights were solved, not completely obviously, but I mean, the legislative impediments and the social impediments largely removed. They needed a cause to move on to, and so they moved on to the trans issue. And I think Te Pāti Māori is stuck in that position where a lot of the historical grievances have now been dealt with. Now the issues are fundamentally ones of poverty, which are probably better suited to be resolved by standard left-wing politics, if that's what you believe.
Sure.
So I think that they are an advocacy group in search of something to advocate, and I think that's causing some of the struggle. So we have our Ilan Omars. Don't worry. Let's talk about AI.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're halfway in. Okay. Well, there's so much good stuff.
Oh, the history of conservatism has been fun because I've lived it, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, one last thing before AI.
Yeah.
I remember my first Milo Yiannopoulos event, because again, at Turning Point, we were an online news agency for a second, and we were just following it. So we just went to one of his speeches. It was in Chicago. And that was the first time I've ever seen like the unrest of a campus. Milo showed up, and how do you think that's going to go in Chicago? Not well. I think we're at DePaul University, if I remember correctly. But all of a sudden, we have a band that walks in, starts playing music and clanging things. There's a woman that started twerking in front of Milo on the main stage, and it got quite crazy quite fast, and ultimately the campus shut down the event. But that's how I knew there was something here in terms of the college campus issue. I'd never seen it before in my entire life until that event, and wow, it's crazy to see what's happening on college campuses these days. And of course, it's exacerbated and accelerated into what it is today. But that Milo stuff that was a big pivotal moment in kind of the Rubicon of conservatives and conservatarian, libertarian people coming to college campuses.
Yeah, he was. So you're saying, pardon me, he was the first one that really started that.
He was the first really big bomb thrower. I mean, Ben Shapiro got kicked off campus one time. There's a video of him walking up to campus police saying, "Can I get in?" They say no, and he walks away. That was it, because he was he's a decent guy, and has a lot of conservative conviction. But with the Milo stuff, if someone denies him something or something happens around him, he riles them up. And he likes to say, "What big bomb can I throw next?" And that's exactly what happened at that event. And it was quite the scenario. And then he told me that he was going to debate Ben Shapiro, and he chickened out. We were trying to set it up, Milo versus Ben Shapiro, and it was Milo that chickened out of that debate.
What were they going to debate?
Just society, conservatism, who's effective, how should we approach people with these issues.
Are their politics that different?
I think their politics probably are pretty different. I think that Milo, I mean, there's a couple. I think they were focused on
Does
different
Milo
issues.
have politics?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go. But I think basically they were just going to pick different issues and start to talk about why their reason is the right reason, effectively.
I would not debate Ben Shapiro.
No, me neither. The kid's too smart.
Just
Genius.
I would like to ask. I would interview him. I would ask him questions. But I would be very nervous about going head to head because he is. I could be totally right and he could be totally wrong, and he would still beat me.
Same. Yeah. Same with Jordan Peterson. I'd be like, oh my gosh, how do I stand up?
Yeah. It's just.
Those people are just so good intellectually. And to be honest, I really agree and admire Ben Shapiro. So I would never debate him anyways. But
I'd love to interview him. I
yeah,
think
me
it would
too.
be
It's great.
It'd be
Fantastic.
There'd be some really interesting stuff.
AI.
Okay. All right. So maybe just talk about, we were talking about before we started. So you said you do coding. Define what you mean by that, because it's a very broad term.
Yeah, so at Leadership Institute, I used to teach courses on Introduction to SQL, which is SQL, Introduction to Python, Introduction to HTML and CSS, and I had studied computer science at Montana State. Just graduated with political science so I could get out of there in 4 years. So I only got the poli-sci degree, but I had all the knowledge of computer science. So I've always been a programmer. I've loved creating things, systems that work, and ultimately with AI, it's now just become a force multiplier. The word of the year in the AI space is vibe coding. Vibe coding. And basically, if you've never heard of this before, but you can talk to these AI systems and have them create apps at this point. All you have to do is talk to ChatGPT and say, create a beautiful and highly interactive web app to do X, Y, and Z. It's going to create something pretty functional at the end of the day. And there's many more softwares out there and services and platforms like Lovable or Cursor or Windsurf. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this space, but vibe coding has been really the word of the year in the realm of AI. And it's cool because people need small apps. Maybe you want to turn a PDF into 6 tweets. Maybe you want to analyze news briefs that come in. You want to synthesize your writing that can auto-respond to emails, things of that nature. But it's been really exciting to see the world change. And AI has not been around for very long. It came out publicly, ChatGPT 3 is November of 2022. That's 3 years ago. Imagine 3 more years. I mean, in 3 years, it's just radically transformed the way we do things.
You're right. You're right on one of you say the six modalities of AI.
Sure.
So text, code, audio, image from text, video from text, which is just really starting to get to the point that it is difficult to distinguish and sometimes impossible to distinguish real from fake.
Yeah.
And then you've got the sixth one, which we haven't quite got to yet, is 3D virtual rendering.
Totally.
What is 3D virtual rendering? Where are we going next?
There's 2 different versions of this, but one of the best examples that people can try right now, it's free, it's made by Google, and it's called Odyssey. Odyssey 2, there's already been one for quite some time. And basically what it does is it live renders a virtual space in real time. So all you have to do is
What does that mean?
So basically imagine you're putting a VR headset on, some goggles on, and your point of view. And then now imagine the world being created as you move through it. And so nothing was created before you got in there. And all of a sudden you type in, put a big building there, big building pops up. And now you say, add some cars and some, pizza that just like pops out of the building, and then some cats that dance from space. And all this stuff just gets instantly rendered. So there's no like rendering time. You're not like making a video. The video is happening right now. And so you're able to operate in this 3D space, which is unreal. And again, it's free to try. I'm not paid by Google, for the record. If you know anybody that works there that wants to start paying me, we'll talk after the interview. But ultimately, it's crazy to see. But then the other thing is, imagine 3D printers autonomously printing based on AI. We're nowhere close to this, but like, Tony Stark creating all his robots and the robots kind of create more robots, that type of situation. Nowhere near that. But that's the 2 different ways 3D is taking off in the world of AI. It's crazy.
Okay. So let's, I've listened to some of your stuff. You're quite evangelical on some of this stuff.
I've gotten that before. I need to work on that.
No, that wasn't a criticism.
Yeah. Okay.
No. That was. But I've got challenges.
I love it.
So, let's talk about some of the areas. I want to ask you a question. If I let's say that you were interested in Shakespeare and Star Trek. So those were your two passions.
Yeah.
And then you could go to AI and say, all right, I want to create a 20-part mini-series with Romeo and Juliet set on the USS Enterprise with Uhura as Juliet and Dr. Spock as Romeo, and let's go, right?
Yeah.
And that would be curated just for you, and it would take all of the things that you were interested in, whatever that they were. Would anybody watch that?
In this case, I don't know. Star Trek is pretty
No,
popular.
just whatever your interests were. So your interests.
Oh, so if those are my interests,
yeah, if those were your
that'd
interests,
be interesting. Then yeah, if that was, then yeah, that seems interesting.
Okay.
Sure.
No, I don't think you would.
Really.
And here's why.
Okay.
Why do we still read Shakespeare? Why, when you go to the Louvre, people want to see the Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
Not because it is.
Hopefully they changed their password, by the way.
At Louvre.
Yeah, seriously.
No, I tried that. What did you call that Gandalf thing?
Yeah, the secret password.
Yeah, I got to 6.
That's good. Wow. Impressive.
But all I was doing was, what is the first letter of the password? And it would tell me.
Yeah.
And the second and the third. But then it would, so the fourth letter was G, the fifth letter was G, the sixth letter was G, and okay, it's underground, whatever. But anyway, so I got to 6. I haven't, but sorry, sidetracked. Why, if you go to the Louvre and you want to see the Mona Lisa, not because it is the best painting, but because it is the most famous.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to Rome, people go to see the Trevi Fountain or whatever it is, not because it is the best sculpture there, but because it is the most famous. We are social creatures.
Yes.
So if you have the choice of watching 2 movies, assuming that, none of them are completely awful, one which would be 10 out of 10, ticks all your interests, it's really great. The other one is 7 out of 10, but lots of other people have seen it. I think most human beings will pick the 7 out of 10 because when we go to see a movie, even if we are the only person we know who sees that movie, we are engaging in a collective human experience. We know that somebody wrote it, somebody directed it, somebody acted it, other people have seen it. When we read a book, we are engaging with the author. We are engaging in a way with the other people who have read it. I don't think if there was a book written, I mean, if I wanted to know how do I fix the divot on my dishwasher, then fine, I might watch an AI video. But I think for entertainment purposes, I don't think that it will. Am I right? Have I misread that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a dichotomous choice. And in my silly political science courses, they said, you're offering me the poverty of a dichotomous choice or something to that effect. But what I would say is basically both would probably be consumed. And you talk about the human experience one, but in your private time, you probably created a video that you liked watching. It was a cool movie that was unique and special to you. And there's a lot of times where, for me, I go on writing adventures that never reaches the public eye. But it really motivated me, and I find it, compelling and awesome. And in that same vein, I think you're going to find a lot of pet projects, right, that might actually take off, but fundamentally it's to allow you to explore the technology sometimes. And so I really think you will see people choose the former more than the latter, but in private, and you wouldn't talk about it. And I think that really highlights a lot of AI. And I say this a lot, but we're all secret cyborgs in so many ways. We're using these AI tools, but we don't tell people that we're doing it. And in a lot of ways, what I do is just normalize the experience, saying, hey, it's okay at work if you use artificial intelligence. Just tell us what you're doing so we can create a system around it or potentially make it better or share the knowledge, etc. But as it relates to public ventures of consumption of media or entertainment and things of that nature, just imagine that Odyssey project that we were just talking about, where basically you can create this entire virtual world and this amazing experience. I think you're going to find it pretty dynamic and compelling. And then it's not necessarily you talk about it other than the platform itself, but you've created something unique and original to you. And so I do see, as we look forward, people creating curated, unique experiences that they will enjoy themselves. And maybe they share it with a loved one or a friend, but it's not going to reach the masses.
I disagree.
That's okay. That's good. Let's disagree.
I think you look at Minecraft.
Yeah.
Part of the joy in Minecraft is building stuff that other people can see and be involved with. So for the Odyssey project, I think what will happen is if you and I and a group of mates, we say, right, we're going to create this artificial world and we're going to go and hunt bison, or we're going to pretend that we are knights and we're going to go and attack the Saracens or whatever, then that's a communal experience. We're engaging with our mates, and it's kind of similar to go off chasing bears, whatever people used to do.
I still drink beer. I still like beer.
That's fine. So an Odyssey where it is a means of engaging with other people, but the idea that you would, other than the novelty factor of it, that you would enter a virtual world and go wandering around that virtual world on your own, I think some people obviously will do it, but I think it will have much less limited appeal. And I think that the value of a movie, the value of a TV series, is that we are engaging with other people. If I had two books, one was better written and easier to read, 10 out of 10, or A Tale of Two Cities, which is hard work.
Yeah.
I'm going to read A Tale of Two Cities because I'm engaging in a wider human experience, and I think that's what will happen. And I think the evidence of that is what's happening in pornography, which is always what happens in pornography is what happens elsewhere 10 years down the line, right?
It's such a human experience. How do we add porn to it? I feel like even with AI, that's happening right now.
But when you think, but porn is so often, a lot of the stuff, the illicit activity is kind of the cutting edge of where it goes. And so the artificial girlfriends,
yeah,
they're not, I mean, people will have them, they'll be entertaining, they'll be novel, but but where it's a real person, why do people pay for an OnlyFans creator? They're one of 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever it is. They have no real engagement, but it's still a real person. And so you will pay $50 or $100 for that pretend engagement because you know it's real. You might pay $2 for a cartoon replica of it because it's real. And I think, and we see that happening in, there are, I shouldn't say this, I don't know if that's true, but I'm pretty sure that if there was an AI OnlyFans avatar that was doing really well, I would have heard about it.
There are a few.
There are a few, but they're not. It's almost be the novelty, I would imagine.
Yeah, the humans are winning right now.
The humans are winning.
I think it's Sophie Rain or something like that.
Thank God the humans are still winning.
I don't know if I could say thank God for OnlyFans though. Seems tragic.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible thing to do, but it is. But I think that's where. So I think that's why when we go to the movies or we see a television show, that is going to be the limiting factor of AI. We want to see real people, even though we know we'll never engage with them. At least we know that Jennifer Aniston is a real person.
Yeah, totally. Love Friends too. But what I'll say is, in responses, I do predict a future of parents that have to talk to their kids that are Gen Z, Gen A, saying, hey, you have to stop talking to this AI chatbot and you have to date a human. And I think ultimately, when you think about even full circle to this Groyper movement, I think you're seeing a lot of little boys use AI chatbots for sexual purposes, and actually to a high level. Really? And I think it's disgusting and pervasive, but ultimately it's something that's going to get better. The other thing I say all the time is this is the worst the technology is ever going to be. And so one throwback that we talk about all the time for people in this space, you can look it up if you type into Google Will Smith spaghetti AI. Yeah. You can see the 2023 version and the 2025 version, and now apply that to porn and saying, what's the difference between this AI content creator and this human? And I think increasingly it's going to be difficult to discern, which I think is a true problem and needs to be addressed. But I do think that people will be using AI instead of humans in some circumstances for sexual activity. And I think it's happening right now. I mean, you do see Grok with Imagine and things of that nature. With Grok Imagine, you can take any picture and animate it. And in high schools right now, what's happening, teachers are really disgusted by it because basically the 16-year-old boy can take a picture of a 16-year-old girl and make her do anything, right? Anything but go totally nude. But you can get pretty sexual with it. Splash some water on them, or, change their outfit into a bikini or something to that effect. And all of a sudden, this girl who didn't consent to any of this, and there's just a static picture of her on the internet, is being subject to all of these things. I think there's some legislation by ACT in Parliament here in New Zealand trying to prevent some of this. But ultimately, this is ultimately where we're going, and it's happening really fast. And there's already AI characters by Grok specifically. They're animated girl that you can chat to if you get Super Grok, which is their $200 a month subscription. This girl's very sexual and takes off her clothes, wants to take things sexual in terms of the conversations, and people are getting addicted to AI porn. Really? I mean, it's definitely a real thing.
So
and a problem.
My optimistic take is that our default human desire for real human contact, I could be tragically wrong.
See, that's my worry, because again, think about this. If I'm going to go off to date women, at least in my experience, and I'm a 6'3" black man, I'm a little attractive. I'm not that attractive, but
if I was gay.
Yeah, see, thank you.
Hey,
all right. Yeah, I appreciate that. See, there we go. But anyways, I had to go through the ringer. I got rejected at the bar, and I've tried to hit on girls and they said no. But guess what? When this 16-year-old boy that, let's say, is just a little less attractive, maybe they're full of acne, they haven't grown into their body yet, decides to just shortcut all of this and talk to an AI robot that affirms them instead, saying, oh, you are so cute, you are pretty, and validates their beliefs. That's a pretty compelling situation. And again, a true problem that I think we need to address head on.
I mean, being rejected by people you have a crush on is a universal human experience. And it sucks. And you have to do it.
Yeah, totally. If you want to grow. And eventually I got good enough to find my wife, but I was able to get there because I got rejected maybe hundreds of times.
Yes.
There were some successes in there as well. I didn't fail every single moment.
We're not keeping count, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. But I failed a lot. And a lot of people just don't want to go through that hard work of becoming themselves through failure. And ultimately, it's kind of like, I don't know, if you want someone to have courage, they probably have been scared before. If you want someone to have strength, they've probably been weak before. And now people can just shortcut all of this and talk to some AI system that affirms them. So yeah, I think it's a real problem.
See, because I mean, were you dating in the era of the dating apps?
Oh yeah, I had Hinge, I had Bumble and Tinder, and keeping up with those photos. I mean, all those photos are AI. And you want to see some crazy stuff with kids these days. You know what they're doing? They're taking that chat, they're putting in ChatGPT, respond to this girl, respond to this boy, putting it back in the messaging app, but they're both doing it. They're both talking to AI, and the AIs are talking to each other. And sometimes things work out, but a lot of times they don't too.
Oh my God. Do you remember Ashley Madison?
Yeah, ashleymadison.com.
That was they're all leaked, blah, blah, blah. But the thing I found really fascinating, I'm going to make up the numbers, there's 25 million members. But it boiled down to there was something like 5,000 actual women. Mm-hmm. And then they had all of these fairly primitive bots talking to the guys. And the asymmetry between them was just massive. Yeah. So all of these guys chasing an illusion. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that goes to your point that if these guys wanted to find affairs, they had to go out there into the real world and find women prepared to engage with them. They couldn't. They preferred, and presumably these would have been unconsummated activity because mm-hmm. there were no women.
Yeah, true. It was just the endeavor or the hope. Crazy.
It's like we have been built for a different era, yeah. And that's why we have a problem with obesity. We were designed to survive in an area of scarcity, in an area of McDonald's. We get.
That's why we got to keep these half marathons going. We got to fight back the Guinness.
Have you run any half marathons?
Yeah, I've run a couple. And I want to do a full marathon because they say that 1% statistic, and it's got me going. Only 1% of people will have run a marathon.
How old are you, Stephen? If you don't
I'm
mind
32.
Oh, yeah. I ran my first marathon. I would have been. I've only run 4, and I ran them about 38 to 41 as I ran 4 marathons.
You're a 1%er.
I am in so many areas. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with a half marathon. Although I was just saying before, because I wrote my column last week on describing myself as a disheveled wreck held together with desperation and despair, stumbling forward, carrying my carcass over the harbour bridge. And people loved it.
That's relatable.
Yeah. I mean, I write a boring column about capital gains tax today, and nobody will read it.
Just for you. I'm gonna take a look after this.
Annie O'Brien described it as poetry. So,
wow.
that's
okay. That's high praise.
That's good praise. Let's talk about garbage in, garbage out. I have read a couple of places that with AI, if I ask AI a question, it will go to the internet and it will get me the answer. Now, at the moment, let's say 5% of the stuff online is AI.
Mm-hmm. It's more than that, but yeah.
In 10 years' time, it might be 70%.
Yeah, right? That's accurate.
So it's scaling up. So in 10 years' time, when I ask AI, explain to me the theory of relativity as it pertains to Star Trek, it's going to give me an answer based on other AI. We have a garbage in, garbage out problem. We have a similar situation where it's getting difficult to tell real from fake.
Yes.
You said one of your presentations, you were talking about how teachers, they used to have an app that they could use to detect.
Turnitin.com.
Yeah. And you said in your presentation that this is now redundant.
Yes.
So what's the verification mechanism? What is the effective blue tick that will allow people to be able to discern? Because when I look at a video, I don't want to have to go to the comments to find out whether it's real or fake.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a couple things I recommend in this space. On the teacher front, one of the biggest things is, though, they switched to oral presentations. And basically right now, if you ask me to write a 7-page paper, you can AI that. And honestly, you, me, and many other people listening to this, we had to do it the hard way, okay? Yeah. I remember being in the college library until 2 o'clock in the morning to turn in my 9-page paper. And now they're just like, boop, here it is. And not fair, first of all, not fair at all. And I can't believe I'm old enough to say back in my day, but here we are. We had to, walk uphill both ways and fight a tiger. And sometimes the tiger won. But anyways, yeah, so.
You only had to fight a tiger.
Yeah.
Paradise. I had to fight woolly mammoths.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. But yeah, if you make them present, then you actually have to at least know something. And so maybe you used AI to help with the paper, but if you had to give a 5-minute presentation on your paper, that at least shows that you've learned something. So that's what I recommend for teachers all over the place. In the other spaces, the 2 other things, verification badges. I think they're so paramount and they're going to become more valuable. Much like there's a badge on X or on Facebook or Instagram that says you've got this blue check mark of humanity. I think that's what it's going to be in the future. Basically saying this is a human channel and I had to verify that I'm a human to acquire this badge. And we're going to seek those sources in the future more than ever before. And then finally, digital watermarking and signatures. So if you look at Sora 2, which is not in New Zealand yet, but coming fast, VO 3.1 by Google, these AI videos are incredible. And there was a recent study that was done. I wish I was smart enough to remember the study, but if you fact check this or look this up later, you'll see it. Basically what they did is they tried to do a study of, can humans determine if it's AI or not? And it was a coin flip. 50% of the time, people were getting it wrong, even though they thought they were getting it right. And it's only going to get better in terms of AI's ability to deceive people. We've passed the Turing test long ago at this point now, especially with writing, but now with video and images and voice, that's what's next. And so, yeah, digital signatures are going to be paramount, meaning that we can look at the metadata and see that this is a creation of AI. And most AI companies like a OpenAI or a Google are putting those watermarks on their content that they're producing. Now, there are some scraping tools to remove that watermark. And if people really want to fake it, they could probably throw it into, Adobe Premiere, clean it up a couple more times, and now it has a different metadata, different watermarking and signatures. And so if you really, really want to deceive people, you probably could. But most of the time, like probably 90% of the time, you're going to be able to, if investigated, determine if it's AI or not. So we do have some tactics at our disposal, but I think we're going to seek verifications moving forward. And again, if you're a teacher trying to be sure that your kids are learning what they're learning, they should have to speak. Not only will they now learn the thing of what they're talking about, but they're also going to get the valuable skill set of speaking. And increasingly with younger generations, this is a skill set that they don't have. They've been on Minecraft, they were in COVID, and they've lost this power of human connection. Yes, exactly. Exactly right. And so if you start delivering some public presentations in class, you're going to start being able to hopefully talk to girls as well, and talk to boys for the girls here.
I think there is an asymmetry of power in that respect. But you're part of the problem, though, because you are teaching people, say, okay, I need to do 10 tweets a day to be relevant.
Yeah.
So then I can then go on to Candace Owens' website, mimic her stuff, and then get 10 tweets in the voice of Candace Owen on the word of the day.
Yeah.
So we need technology to catch out the people that you are training.
In a lot of ways, yeah. And this is a first mover advantage. And that's why people take me places and why I travel the world. Quite frankly, it's because I'm able to give people, speaking of 1%ness, the ability to move in a space where 99% of people are not caught up yet.
Yeah.
And that one little percentage point can make a tremendous difference in politics. And it's not deception, it's not deceit, but what it is an advantage. And so if I'm using AI and you're not, I'm just going to be able to output more content than you and fundamentally win. And so that's why I get these opportunities in a lot of ways. I follow it. I'm very curious about how this applies to politics every single time. And that's been my passion. And then I teach who I think are the good guys how to leverage this technology for success. But thankfully, the good guys that I teach tend to have ethics, right? At least there's a non-aggression principle with what we believe. At least there's, a constitution, a Magna Carta, something to that effect. The left, the progressive left, in my eyes, there's no morals. And I'm very scared about what happens if they get the AI edge.
Because you're right, somewhere talking about ethics and AI, where there are potentially no ethical boundaries. And I'm just thinking about the digital information that exists on us if you're able to hack or gain access to somebody's. I think you were saying Google hasn't been hacked, but
that's true.
If you were able to reverse engineer somebody's, say, what are they? That Google Maps that effectively tracks everywhere you've been.
Yeah.
So you could work out, these going to a lover's house or a drug house or a brothel or whatever, and then you've
I think the CIA are really good at this already.
Okay. Well, my life isn't that interesting that the CIA would want to go scrolling through. I'm not saying they wouldn't find anything. I'm saying I'm too unimportant, Stephen, for them to...
I live my life publicly. I don't, I really admire people who seek privacy, but at this point, I live my life totally publicly because I just assume if you want to know, you'll know where I am, you'll know what I'm doing, what I'm searching, all that good stuff. And hopefully it's interesting, I'm not doing anything nefarious. Everything I do, I operate in transparency. So yeah, I feel good about it. But I know a lot of people don't sign up for this public life and they want the privacy. And it's really upsetting that it feels like there's none.
Yes, that's true. Although I have generally been, when you consider the amount of private information, text messages, Snapchat that's out there, we have a lot of digital secrets. And I cannot recall a moment, at least in New Zealand, where a person's private foibles have become exposed because of Google tracking or something. Text messages get leaked, but that's usually because somebody leaks them, WhatsApp messages and so forth. So by and large, I think the technology companies have done a remarkably good job of actually keeping people's personal stuff, to the extent that I think that we are too complacent, too reliant, we're too trusting.
Very much so. Yeah, I agree. They've done a good job, but there's still been, incidents, like Cambridge Analytica in 2008 was a big one.
But that was, how was I as a because that was mining Facebook, right?
Yeah. So basically, you took a quiz. Let's say, just hypothetically, you took a quiz saying, "What Disney princess are you?" And you signed up, and on Facebook there were a bunch of these variations of that. Then once you took that quiz, you consented to them seeing your friends list, and so then they could see people's accounts basically as if they were their friend. So even if you had your privacy settings on Facebook, et cetera, to the public, but if you took the quiz, now they had access to your account or your visible Facebook stuff. And so that's kind of what was happening.
But the people who clicked yes to that, I mean, they didn't suffer. They got some advertising.
Yeah, you just got better advertising. But it was invasion
from people like you.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
But you were talking about Sarah driving down the street.
Yeah.
And then you working out where she was. She was potentially a Ted Cruz voter. So we're gonna have the billboard in the street say, "Hey, Sarah, vote Ted."
Yeah. So that's programmatic over-the-top advertising, and yeah, that's still happening right now. But that's based on consumer data. Again, that's publicly information. In this case, with Cambridge Analytica,
could you say, "Sarah, call your dad"? With a picture of a father, just to drive home the guilt.
In 2016, you cannot do that anymore. But you could get reasonably close though. But you couldn't use their name in the sense that I couldn't tell that was whoever your name is. But I could drop that cohort down to basically saying, I know that you live in, let's say, Arlington, Virginia. And so therefore, I'm going to serve you the best coffee shop in Arlington, Virginia must be. And then you want to, talk to that person. But they have since really changed their data privacy laws since Cambridge Analytica and other things. But yeah, if I wanted to advertise to a Ted Cruz voter who lived in Iowa, who was 16 and also liked, Mark Levin on Facebook, then I was able to do that level of targeting. That's no longer the case, sadly. And thankfully, at the same time, there's pluses and minuses there. But ultimately, yeah, programmatic over-the-top advertising is that effective. And it happens every day. It's like when you go on to Amazon, you don't buy the shoes, and all of a sudden you get the shoes on Facebook saying, "Hey, buy me now." That's what's happening. It already does.
Yeah, we do that. We have a debt collection business and an insolvency practice, and we use some of those evil tools. But where we do find AI is not useful for debt collection, if I have an AI robot call you, you can tell that robot to F off.
Yep.
People will not say that to a real person. And was that 11 Labs? So
yep.
I think you mentioned one of yours. So we've played around with some of that sort of stuff. It's not at the point that for outbound calling, it's a complete fail. And a couple of big overseas debt collection firms have gone down that track, and it's been a fail. Where it does work is where somebody wants to engage. If I ring up a restaurant and I want to make a booking for 7:30, I don't care that I'm talking to a machine. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how that would play in the political sphere. I know you Americans love doing robocalls. I suspect.
Oh, it's so annoying.
That can't have any cut through.
No, it doesn't really. And yeah, the connection rates are less than 1%, and the conversion rates are like 0.05%. But nevertheless, it's pretty relatively low cost to just have robots call people. And so we get inundated. And it's obviously a big joke saying, "Hey, I've been meaning to reach you about your car's extended warranty." I get those calls, and I don't even have a car anymore. I live in the city, so I don't need one. But my car's extended warranty, what car do I have? And what is this extended warranty? I mean, it's crazy. Actually, my last half marathon, I put that on a sign, and I just showed people that, everyone's cheering people on, and my billboard said, "I've been meaning to reach you about your car's extended warranty." I got a lot of laughs.
I did one years ago, and I was running along, and people saying, "Yay, Robin." I was thinking, wow, this guy behind me must be really popular because people know who Robin is.
Yeah.
And then I wandered around the tank farm. So, of course, I had to go and who is this guy? I was like, who do I know that's famous? It was somebody like a Batman and Robin. He had the
yeah.
Well, there was a guy who did the Auckland Marathon. He had a phone booth it's crazy. Anyway.
Honestly, when those people wear those outfits and beat you in the race, I'm like, oh my gosh, did I just lose to a Santa Claus? Like,
Yeah.
Come on.
There's one of my favorite pictures. There's a picture of me running up this hill in, I think it's Onehunga. It's me and another guy. This is about 10 years ago, and there's a guy in a full fairy suit, and he's ahead of us. Okay, all right, Stephen, you're here courtesy of the Taxpayers Union.
Yes, sir.
So you're part of the vast Atlas conspiracy.
Am I?
Yeah,
That feels good.
Yeah.
I need to send them my bank information, though. I'm not getting paid by them.
Yes, Atlas travels better by reputation than they do in real life. So you've been out here for a week. There's a function at 5 o'clock today. It's been a fascinating conversation.
I like this one. Hey, I still like you. You said, I don't know. You're a good guy. I like this. This was fun. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll leave it there.